Each senator, when his or her name is called, will stand in his or her place, and they'll vote guilty or not guilty as required by Rule 23 of the Senate Rules of Impeachment. Article 1, Section 3, Clause 6 of the Constitution, regarding the vote required for conviction on impeachment, provides that, quote, no person.
Trump just told House Republicans at closed-door retreat, if we don't win midterms, I will get impeached. And sources suggest his begging for protection might reveal he knows accountability is coming. We're not talking about President confidently defending his actions or claiming persecution by partisan opponents. We're talking about reports that Trump at January 6, 2026 retreat warned party Democrats will surely find reason to impeach him over second-term actions, that he urged Republicans to stick together because election is his personal survival test, that Senate Democrats are threatening to block DHS funding unless Trump accepts strict reforms of ICE surge, including body cameras, warrant requirements, and accountability for killing Americans. That Senator Ed Markey introduced resolution declaring Trump ineligible to be elected to office citing constitutional abuses. That House Democrats already have impeachment articles on file from Representatives Thaindar and Green, ready to launch overnight if they win 2026. And what might make this moment so significant is how Trump himself framed stakes. Sources suggest when President tells his party their job is protecting him from impeachment rather than governing or representing constituents, when he acknowledges Democratic victory means removal, when he makes midterms about saving him, not about policy, that's not strength. That could be desperation from someone who knows he's committed impeachable offenses, knows grounds are clear, and knows only thing preventing accountability is Republican majority he can't guarantee will survive electoral test. But before we break down Trump's specific warning and why Senate funding threats plus impeachment articles create layered pressure demanding change or removal, real quick. You cannot trust mainstream media to connect how Trump's begging reveals consciousness of guilt about actions requiring political protection rather than legal defense. That's why we built John Brown's show, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want analysis that actually exposes how comprehensive pressure from funding, ultimatums to ineligibility resolutions to prepared impeachment creates impossible position for Trump, hit that subscribe button right now. All right, let's get into what Trump's closed-door warning actually revealed and why sources suggest it represents admission of vulnerability. Because think about how innocent person would frame midterm elections, would talk about policy achievements, about continuing agenda, about advancing party principles. Reports indicate wouldn't say, if we lose, I personally get impeached. But Trump made election explicitly about protecting him. Said Democrats will surely find reason, implying he knows he's done impeachable things. Said his second-term actions create grounds, implying he understands conduct has been problematic. Sources suggest urged Republicans to stick together, meaning demanded loyalty, demanded they protect him even as his policies hurt their re-election prospects. And that framing reveals Trump knows he's vulnerable, knows he can't defend on merits, knows only protection is Republican majority, preventing Democrats from acting on legitimate grounds. When you combine Trump's warning with Senate Democrats threatening DHS funding shutdown unless reforms accepted, with Markey's resolution declaring Trump ineligible for future office under 14th Amendment, with House impeachment articles already drafted and ready to file day one, pattern emerges of comprehensive pressure from multiple directions, all demanding Trump change course or face removal through constitutional process. He's avoided only through political protection that depends on Republicans maintaining power in 2026. Let's start with what Trump specifically said at retreat, because sources suggest his words reveal more than he intended. January 6, 2026, House GOP closed-door meeting, Trump told Republicans, if we don't win midterms, I will get impeached. Think about that statement. Reports indicate that's not Democrats might try partisan impeachment. That's, I will get impeached as certainty, as inevitability if opposition gets power. When President frames it that way, He's acknowledging impeachment would be justified response to his actions, acknowledging grounds exist, acknowledging only thing preventing it is protective Republican majority. And there's Democrats will surely find reason language. Sources suggest Trump's implying they need to search for grounds, need to manufacture justification. But reality is grounds are obvious. Reports indicate Minneapolis killings by federal agents, Venezuela war without congressional authorization, Epstein file management raising questions about transparency, claiming power to terminate Constitution, all clear impeachable offenses readily available. Trump's not saying Democrats will invent grounds. He might be saying they'll have multiple legitimate grounds to choose from, can pick strongest articles, can build comprehensive case because he's given them abundance of documented misconduct. Think about demanding Republicans stick together. Sources suggest that's not rallying troops around shared principles or policy vision, that's demanding loyalty to protect him personally. Reports indicate demanding they prioritize his survival over constituents, over their own re-election prospects, over everything else. Trump acknowledging Minneapolis creating backlash, Venezuela unpopular, policies hurting Republican candidates, but still demanding they sacrifice for him. When president makes party's job protecting him rather than governing effectively, that reveals desperation, reveals understanding he can't survive without absolute Republican unity, reveals he's begging for protection he can't guarantee. And there's framing election as personal survival test. Sources suggest Trump's not talking about advancing Republican agenda or implementing conservative policies. He's talking about whether he personally gets to finish term without facing impeachment. Reports indicate that framing is devastating admission. Innocent people don't frame elections as survival votes. They defend themselves on merits, point to accomplishments, argue for continuation of successful policies. Trump can't do any of that. Can only hope Republicans win and continue shielding him from accountability for actions he knows justify removal. But step back and consider how Senate Democrats are creating immediate pressure through funding threats because sources suggest this represents powerful check on Trump's enforcement operations. After Alex Priddy and other Americans killed by federal agents in Minneapolis, Senate Democrats vowing to oppose DHS bill unless it includes strict reforms. Reports indicate demanding body cameras on all agents, warrant requirements for home raids, accountability mechanisms for use of force, all designed to constrain Trump's ICE operations, prevent future killings, impose oversight Trump has resisted. Think about why this threat has teeth. Sources suggest DHS needs appropriations, needs congressional money to operate. If funding fails, Trump's enforcement collapses, deportation operations stop, signature policy fails publicly. Reports indicate that creates impossible choice for Trump. Accept reforms that constrain his power or face shutdown, creating massive political damage. Either option hurts him. Reforms limit what he can do. Shutdown proves he can't govern effectively, can't maintain basic operations, prioritizes unconstrained power over preventing Americans being killed. And there's PBS reporting that funding threat is unraveling broader deal. Sources suggest this isn't empty posturing. Democrats are willing to force partial DHS shutdown, willing to use leverage, willing to follow through on threats. Reports indicate that seriousness creates real pressure Trump can't easily escape. He either compromises accepting oversight he's rejected, or faces shutdown, proving his policies so extreme, even funding them becomes politically impossible. When Senate uses power of purse to force accountability, President refuses voluntarily, that's constitutional check working exactly as designed. Share this video with everyone you know because there's what reforms actually require. Sources suggest Democrats demanding basic law enforcement standards, body cameras documenting interactions, warrants before entering homes, accountability when agents use force killing citizens. Reports indicate these aren't radical restrictions. These are standard practices police departments follow nationwide. But Trump sees them as unacceptable constraints on his power, as limits he won't tolerate. That resistance reveals Trump prioritizes operating without oversight over preventing Americans being killed, reveals he understands accountability mechanisms would expose problems he wants hidden, reveals why he's desperate to maintain unconstrained enforcement even when it costs Republican support. But let's examine Senator Markey's resolution declaring Trump ineligible for future office, because sources suggest this creates formal constitutional marker. S-Res 154 declares Trump ineligible to be elected president or vice president or hold any office under United States in future, citing role in past insurrection and constitutional abuses. Reports indicate that's invoking 14th Amendment Section 3, which disqualifies anyone who engaged in insurrection from holding federal office. Trump's January 6th conduct trying to overturn election, inciting attack on Capitol, all constitutes insurrection under any reasonable definition. Think about what resolution accomplishes. Sources suggest even sitting in committee without vote, its formal Senate record. Its senators on record saying Trump violated 14th Amendment and shouldn't be eligible for future office. Reports indicate that record can be used in future litigation, in disqualification efforts, in building comprehensive case that Trump can't hold office beyond current term. Creates precedent, creates argument, creates foundation for legal challenges that might succeed even if resolution itself doesn't pass. And there's strategic timing. Sources suggest introducing resolution now while Trump's still in office sends message that Senate recognizing constitutional violations, recognizing Trump's conduct disqualifies him, recognizing he shouldn't be allowed to serve beyond term he's currently destroying through abuses. Reports indicate that formal declaration puts Trump on notice. His conduct is being documented, is being formally condemned, is being used to build case for permanent disqualification. When senators willing to go on record declaring president ineligible for future office, that shows how seriously they view his constitutional violations, shows accountability mechanisms activating even if slowly. Share this with everyone because there's House impeachment articles ready. Sources suggest Representatives Thaindar's H-Res 353 and Green's resolutions laying out comprehensive charges: obstruction of justice, usurping Congress's spending power, incitement of violence, all detailed, all documented, all ready to file. Reports indicate Washington Post says Democratic leaders currently cautious, but could change overnight if they win 2026. That means articles are prepared, votes might be there, just need majority to act. Trump knows that. That's why he warned Republicans. That's why he's begging for protection. Because if Democrats win, impeachment launches immediately, articles filed day one, votes happen quickly. Trump faces third impeachment, creating historic record of serial impeachability. But here's why combination of pressures creates impossible position for Trump, because sources suggest he can't address all threats simultaneously. Senate Democrats using funding leverage now forcing immediate choice on reforms. Markey's resolution building constitutional case for future disqualification. Reports indicate House Democrats preparing immediate impeachment if they win majority, all creating pressure from multiple directions, all demanding Trump change course or face consequences, all proving he can't govern effectively while fighting accountability battles on multiple fronts. Think about Trump's dependence on Republican protection. Sources suggest that's his only defense. Not innocence, not lack of grounds, just Republican majority preventing impeachment, Republican Senate preventing conviction. Reports indicate that dependence is weakness, is vulnerability, because it's conditional. Depends on Republicans winning 2026. Depends on them maintaining loyalty despite his policies hurting their re-election. When either fails, protection evaporates and Trump faces accountability he's avoided through political shield, not legal innocence. Make sure you're subscribed to John Brown Show, because there's what 2026 actually determines. Sources suggest Trump's right, framing it as referendum on his survival. Democratic House means immediate impeachment with prepared articles. More Democratic senators means stronger pressure. Reports indicate Trump spending remaining time defending against removal means presidency paralyzed by investigation, means no agenda accomplishments, just survival fight. So 2026 truly is existential for Trump. Truly determines whether he finishes term effectively or spends it fighting impeachment. Proving accountability comes eventually when voters empower those willing to impose it. So here's what Trump's begging reveals. At closed door January 6th, 2026 retreat, he told House Republicans, "If we don't win midterms, I will get impeached," saying Democrats will surely find reason to impeach over his second-term actions. He urged them to stick together, making election his personal survival test. Senate Democrats threatening to block DHS funding unless Trump accepts reforms, including body cameras, warrant requirements, and accountability for killing Americans, with PBS reporting threat unraveling broader deal. Senator Markey introduced S-Res 154, declaring Trump ineligible for future office under 14th Amendment, citing insurrection and constitutional abuses. House Democrats have impeachment articles from Thaindar and Green ready to file with Washington Post, confirming leaders could launch overnight if they win 2026. Sources suggest Trump's warning reveals consciousness of guilt about actions requiring political protection rather than legal defense. When president acknowledges Democratic victory means impeachment, when he frames election as referendum on his survival, not on policy, when he demands Republicans sacrifice their re-election prospects to protect him, when Senate uses funding threats to force reforms he won't accept voluntarily, when ineligibility resolutions document constitutional violations for future disqualification efforts, when comprehensive pressure from multiple directions creates impossible position, that's not partisan persecution. That might be constitutional accountability machinery activating through electoral process where Trump's survival depends on Republican protection he can't guarantee, where his begging reveals vulnerability based on documented misconduct, where 2026 determines whether political shield continues or accountability finally arrives through impeachment and removal. He's avoided only through party loyalty that may not survive voters empowering opposition willing to act on legitimate grounds. Trump himself admits exist by warning his protection depends entirely on Republicans winning election. He's desperately framing as personal survival vote. Stay tuned.